All yours, my friend.
Thank you. This coming through okay? Yes. Right, so, word of warning. We're running on Windows 11 because we're crazy. There we go. So yeah, and the story behind this talk is, it feels like minutes ago, but Ben pinged me saying, hey, someone's dropped out. Could you do a talk? I was like, sure. It was then an hour later, I followed up with could it be the keynote? What? Sure. Why not? So I really wasn't planning on doing this. At one point, I didn't even know if I was going to be coming, but, you know, in person at least. But here we go. So, who am I? So, for those who don't know me, I have 2 kids. I'm a geek. I'm the head of managed services at Quorum Cyber. And my favorite dinosaur is the McGreedysaurus. Which is a very small dinosaur. It occasionally traps itself because it has a really large mouth. But it's a very, very nice dinosaur. But yeah, so I was an IT guy for years and years and years, and then moved into security because I knew somebody in security and because I'd been saying things on Twitter and they'd kind of reached out to me and said, hey, you seem to be doing way more sec than IT now. Fancy coming in for a chat. So that's about me. Don't care if you want to know more about me. Trust me, you can grab me and I will bore the crap out of you with about me. But you, so BSides. BSides is a community. I mean, if you look at why BSides came about, it was literally because at a big conference, there was talks that were being rejected and the community said, but we want to hear these things. So if you look at it like that, you think, well, actually, it was spawned out of the community wanting to talk to each other. And it's amazing, world-spanning set of people that all just come together. And you're talking crazy people like Ben that just go, well, right, okay, we need one in Newcastle. And it's all over the UK. There's an absolute ton of people. There's no hassle. It's relaxed. It's not vendor-driven. You're not, your email addresses are not being farmed so that you get spammed the crap out for the rest of your days. There's normally pizza involved. There's just about always beer involved, and steak, and mistakes are sometimes made. But BSides is about community. It's about people getting their first talks up before they go and do a major paid gig or something along those lines. It's about people. It's about you guys. BSides Newcastle, so 3rd year. And I missed the first year, which apparently was a skate park. It was very, very cold. I know people who were there said it was very, very cold, but it was awesome. But again, you've got this, the community makes it, it doesn't really matter where it is. It could be in the back of like a, really crap hire van, bus thing. But it would still happen and everybody's still going, and you get an opportunity to meet people and make friends. Ben, he's crazy and we love him to pieces. He does generally run around with his head on fire, and he actually also makes fire. But he's the one that everybody sits and goes, yeah, okay, we're going to make it. And if he asks for something, because of community like BSides, people will stand up and go, yeah, I'll help you. Right. The way this is going to work is that you basically get to choose your own keynote. Now, we're going to run through this, and we've got 25 minutes. You can pick anything, and I will tell you about it. It's not going to be a choose your own adventure where you get to then get more choices, right? You literally just get these 10, right? So for people online, ping it in Slack, and I'm sure somebody at the back will grab it. But literally just give me a number. You may notice there's a mystery option number 3. Which we won't do first.
3.
So, right, somebody give me a number.
7.
7. Worst incident ever. Right, okay, so if we do this by the power of PowerPoint, fucking horrible people, really? So the worst incident ever, how do you measure that? So I've been in many of the worst incidents ever. I've done a fair few in my time. Reputationally, the bigger the org, the bigger the problem. That one is one for lawyers. And when you're doing incident response, you will never ever send an email out to anyone outside the incident response team. Essentially about the lawyers signing it off. Financially, the worst one I've been involved with, which is a review rather than the actual live one, was about £900,000. And that's small potatoes by, big incident standards. Because actually for all those really big ones that you get out there, there's hundreds. There's like daily ones of just little ones, just little leaks, little breaches. I've just sent, somebody's Office 365 gets compromised and it sends like 1,000 emails and stuff. Those ones, those never make the headlines, but you still need to deal with them. You actually still need to do like all the legal stuff and make sure you've done it properly. So it might not be the worst incident ever when I'm looking at it, but for the people that I'm helping, it's their worst day ever. Because they're sitting going, I have absolutely no idea. Like, okay, unless you work for T-Mobile, then it's like, the annual party. But ultimately, when you're working in an incident, the worst incident ever for that customer is generally the one you're working with. So if you are having repeated incidents, please come and talk to me about it, because I'm sure there's probably a whole bunch of stuff we could probably do to help that. But the worst incident ever. The org, fine. Again, it's who's the worst. For me and the staff one are actually the same. It's actually the same as a financial one. So for me, I find the worst incidents ever are ones that really affect the people, because you end up talking to people and you end up talking to the person that clicked on the link and see what that does to them, especially when they're saying, oh, I'm going to lose my job because X amount of money just walked out of the business. The £900,000 one that I did the review, I had to interview the people that were involved, and when I interviewed the guy, he was literally back from about 6 weeks off on stress, and he still was only coming in a couple of days a week, and he sounded broken. And it was because he literally just went, and it was an email compromise, it was somebody injects themselves into the conversation, eventually goes, hey, no, move the money to this account instead, we've just updated it. People then didn't follow processes, and it was all like a big mess. Lots of money go out the door, never comes back. Tracks are really well hidden. And yeah, was there things they could have done to prevent it? Yeah, tons. But when you look back on it, your hindsight's 20/20. But ultimately, the impact that had on the people. One person I couldn't interview, because the one person that didn't do the proper checks got let go, and so wasn't available for interview. So somebody lost their job on it, and the person that clicked the original link and allowed their account to be compromised. When I say allowed, but ultimately, yeah, for me, those ones are terrible because you see the people. And when we work with, we've had charities call us and stuff like that, and you're sitting working with them, and you're just going, who's the scum of the earth that is targeting these things? And they're not targeting these charities and stuff like that. They don't care. They're sending out masses. Occasionally, you actually see them going, hey, are they easy targets? Because, hey, they're raising money for, kids, for homes, for homeless, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but what they should be doing, what they should be spending their money on is getting somebody off the streets, or, getting that child into hospital or whatever. And so when you see those incidents, you're just sitting there going, the blood boils. Because at that point, you're just saying, humanity sucks. Keynote motivational speaker. Right. Flicking back. Give me another number. Not 3. Because he's looking a bit scared.
5.
Oh, that was... Go again.
5.
2. Certs and degrees. Right, let's do that one. That's easy. It's kind of covered a little bit yesterday. Certs and degrees. A degree shows that you can stick it for 4 years. Might mean they've got basic level of knowledge, but I've worked with people in IT and security that have degrees like film studies. I had somebody that had zoology in a team at one point. The degree doesn't necessarily, the content of the degree doesn't necessarily matter. Me, I've got an IT degree, because, I was boring and just hated handwriting, so I literally went into IT to avoid having to write things instead of type them. But ultimately, the degree, it does show a certain mental aptitude, but it's not the be-all and end-all. A degree, as far as I'm concerned, is actually an achievement for yourself. So it's not actually something to, like, I've known plenty of people that didn't finish their degree or just wanted to go and do something and do an achievement for themselves. And so for me, a degree is that person valued this and then went off and done it. So if you come to me and I'm like hiring and I see that, you know, after X years you went off and did a degree, I'm like, well, okay, that person is still interested in learning. And that person's actually, there's no direct, they're going to get a better job because they went off and got a master's in forensics. There's not necessarily an easy path for that. So actually, a degree for me shows, yes, that you can get through it. Yes, a lot of them are now far more practical than they were back in the day. So there's a good element of, you've had a good flavor of a lot of things generally in a degree, and that's good because general knowledge in your field is a good thing. But a degree, for me, is a thing you do for yourself and to get you started initially. But yeah, in terms of certs, right, certs are, as a person that is hiring in a business, some certs I need. I need to be able to put on my website that are thinking, or I can't get a certain bit of business. And so the encouragement to go and get particular certs and stuff can be a business reason. Other certs are that you learning a very specific skill. And the more specific that cert, the more valuable it is in that field. But do I need certs and degrees to hire someone? No, I do not. I honestly barely look at it in the CV. I say, oh, look, they've got a degree. Oh, look, they've got an OSCP. Brilliant, that means that they stuck at something and they passed something. I have also worked with people that have certs that could not find the other end of an Ethernet cable. You're literally sitting there going, I once had a guy that was working for me in an IT capacity that had the full suite of Microsoft exams for server and workstation and all that. So according to Microsoft at the time, this basically means this guy is a Microsoft professional. And I literally just need him to go and install some software. So say, like, here's the software, go and install it on all those machines over there. And now he's like, username, password, off the go back round, go around an hour later, say, kind of expected to have seen him. And instead he's like, he's like, what's the matter? He's like, the password you gave me is not working. It's like, wait a minute, you've been sitting for an hour and you can't log in. He's like, yeah. And he was literally logging into domain when I'd given him a local account. So this is what the local administrative password is. He didn't know the difference. And so he's like, well, hang on a second, you've got all these Microsoft exams and yet it's not sunk in enough that make you actually understand the difference. So certs are super useful for me as a business. They do let me see that someone has a certain skill set to a degree as long as that's a practical one. If you are literally going and doing a multiple choice, at that point you're saying, how good are you at remembering things for 20 minutes and then you're done. So certs, yeah. If somebody is sitting saying we don't hire anybody unless they're degree qualified, that's an HR barrier. And as far as I'm concerned, it's stupid. Because some of the best people I know, people in this room and stuff, don't have a degree. You're saying, right, I've got a degree, so you can hire me. My degree's like 20 odd years old. Saying, so what does the concept of me passing a degree 20 years ago have on any impact on what I do in a job now? So if you use it as a barrier, it's kind of stupid. But it is there. There are ways to get around these things. The closing note last night, there was apply anyway and try and get through. But yeah, it's a difficult one when you are looking for a bigger corporation and they have these entries like a barrier to entry. Work around them if you can, and if not, then it's maybe not the place. Right, what was the other number? Was it 5? Was it 5? Right. Oh, this is like seamless. I honestly don't care. In fact, does anybody know what the color of an incident response team is supposed to be? Threat intel team, anybody got a clue what number that is? It really does not matter. what role, what skills have you got? What do you want to do? As long as you're doing the right thing, having a color attached to you is more just for a laugh. We mock the red team all the time because we're in the blue team, and the blue team's obviously much better. But really, what's your skill set? I hired a guy, and he wanted to be a pen tester. In fact, there was a big phase when I was hiring everybody, and everybody wanted to be a pen tester. I come out of uni and say, I want to be a pen tester. You're like, do you like writing reports? So what do you mean? No, right. So guy breezed through OSCP like it wasn't there, kind of came in and went, look, I really want to, so dev, wanted to be a pen tester, applies for a SOC analyst job. So he goes from dev to thinking and said, look, we don't have any pen testing jobs, but I tell you what, when one opens up, we'll move you across. But come get your first InfoSec job. And he did. And because of that dev background, because he kind of understood how things are put together, because of the pen tester, because he understood how to put it, he's one of the best SOC analysts I ever had. And it was literally like you're sitting going, you can apply the knowledge you have to getting that end goal. And the end goal for us is literally everybody's here to help people. You're there to protect people. If you're there as a pen tester, you're looking to poke holes in things before the bad guys find it, and then you close it all down and everything's fine. So ultimately, it really doesn't matter as long as you're actually bringing your company or your customer to the end goal that is protecting them and to making them a bit more secure and making sure that data is not likely to walk out the door and money's not going to walk out the door. Whether you're a pen tester, whether you're a vuln analyst, whether you're a SOC analyst, it doesn't actually matter. What you want to do is find something that you are good at that makes you happy and that you can deliver good outcomes, and then you can call yourself any color you like. But literally, we're going to have to drop into RGB codes at some point because there's like lavender teams and stuff like that. Obviously, the best color is purple. Ooh. I'm not going to get Nerf gun. Right, one quick one, and then we'll do three. Because I'm presuming, oh, actually, has anybody online decided on a number that wasn't 3,
I have been monitoring
5.
the chat. I think it's a Saturday morning, so everyone's a bit tired or hungover, or still drunk. Nope, there's no numbers online.
Awesome.
Anybody else in the audience want to shout out a number?
3, 4.
What's 4? Right, 4, because it's a funny story. Number 4. Once upon a time, there was an incident, and the customer was breached, and they were seeing logins from many places. And then the customer, we kind of like locked it down, went like, okay, let's try and cut down what we're looking at. Right, do you have anybody that works outside the UK? Is anybody on holiday? Let's just do geolocation on the IP addresses of all these random logins. And so we went, right, okay, so we went, and went, right, okay, all these people that are not in the UK are a problem, or an investigation. And so we had like your normal like bits of Russia and Nigeria and all these sorts of things, and you investigate them and go, yeah, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. And then one came across that was Ireland, and we're like, oh, okay, it'll be the Microsoft data center or something like that. Nope. So, right, okay, hang on a second. Okay, well, somebody's pinging, he's like, look, you're not going to be in Ireland. No, 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 right, okay, look who it is. It's one of the directors of the company. You're like, and so in the middle of the call that the customer's having with their phone and their director, saying, look, your account's been compromised, we're going to have to lock you down, where are you, what are you doing, bring your device in, because, you know, we need to take it off you. And everybody's going, oh God, it's the director. One quick Google on the IP address, and you're like, okay, who's that? What's the vendor? It's not one of the kind of VPN endpoints or Tors that I kind of expect to see. What is it? And then at that point, we kind of said, hey, stop, can you ask him what car he drives? And they kind of looked at me and went, that's a very odd thing. And they said, hey, what do you drive? I said, I drive an Audi. You're like, well, that's fine. He's not compromised. Now everybody looks at me and says, looks fine, just tell him it's fine. We've managed to sign off. Literally looking at the IP address, you go, right, okay, what's that company that owns that IP address? That's really weird. You Google that company, and then the 6th link down says, hey, they've just won this ISP won the vendor contract for Autopilot, the in-car internet for Audis. So every time the guy went into his Audi and his phone automatically connected, he logged in coming from somewhere really weird. Basically, some random bit of Ireland that you'd never expect to see. So geolocation is super important, but don't trust it necessarily. Go and have a look and make sure that when you actually say something like, hey, there's an IP address and I'm not expecting that, and I've looked at the geolocation in multiple different places and they're all agreeing that it is there and it's owned by this company, then go and look up the company. Don't just sit there and go, I'll immediately assume straight off the bat that anything that is not coming from the company office is a problem. Because actually, you have to be really careful with assumptions like that. And you have to just do, it's always worth doing that little bit extra digging, especially if someone doesn't feel quite right. It's easy when you're looking at an incident to go, I've seen this stuff before, yeah, and then something doesn't feel right. And either in a positive way or a bad way sort of thing, you just sit there and go, I'm not expecting that sort of traffic, that's a bit weird. If you look at the network traffic for just about every company when you're working, what does it look like? When you summarize it into days of the week, it goes big on Monday, big on Tuesday, big on Wednesday, big on Thursday, big on Friday, quiet Saturday, quiet Sunday. And even during the pandemic, that stays roughly the same for most companies. And you can apply it to network traffic, you can apply it to the number of emails sent, you can apply it to the number of logins. All of these things will follow this graph. And every SOC analyst that works at Quorum Cyber gets taught that, hey, look, this is the normal pattern. And things like AI, machine learning will come along and like spot these sorts of things. But literally, you look at it and go, that doesn't feel right. If I suddenly see more traffic on a Saturday than I do in the rest of the week, and that's not normal, I go and ask a question, why? So similarly, when I look at it and go, hey, that's weird that I've got all these really malicious places doing bad stuff, and then the good folk of Ireland, that seems a little bit strange. That's not something I normally see. So you take the extra couple of minutes to go and figure it out. Right, Scott, come on. You know you want to. So who would like to see number 3? You trust me?
I do trust you.
So,
Jesus.
cup. Safety glasses.
Oh, I'm going to regret this. Should I kneel or stand? I feel as if I'm going for an execution here.
Does it actually make a difference, Scott?
I'm still going to get shot in the face.
You might want to turn sideways so everyone can see your face, and also less likely. What do you think? Anybody want to, have I lost? Anybody want to see the Bangkok version of this trick? No, it's not like that, Scott, really. Right. Thank you very much. I hope you all have a great rest of B-Sides. If you do not sit and make friends with 2 other people that you don't know, you're idiots. So go find someone and just go, hey, who the hell are you? Because really the best, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't talk about. But a lot of the stuff is there sitting there going, the guy that gets you your job 3 jobs down the line is sitting in the row behind you and too long. Literally, I have hired one there, one sitting up virtually, all because we knew each other from B-Sides and from InfoSec Happy Hour. And literally all I did was say, hey, I know these people are good human beings, shove them into the process. And they would normally not have come into the kind of sphere of the agencies and all that sort of stuff that you normally use. And it was literally who you know is so important. They will get you through really bad times like crappy pandemics. And they will sit there on a Friday night and get really drunk with you while looking down and thingy. The people around you, that's what makes B-Sides. So the talks and stuff don't really matter. They're just an excuse for you all to be here. So make friends, grab someone, say, who the hell are you? What do you do? And have a good rest of the conference.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Dave? Any at all? No. 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 God, no. I'm going to fall off the stage. Oh, shit. Okay. So, new rule. Any speaker that overruns, we're using this. Yeah, no, that was awesome. Thank you for that. Oh, we have a question out the back. Let me dump the safety. Maybe keep these for a minute. Hold on, stand by, stand by.
Hi. So I missed the start of the talk due to the networking you were just talking about from last night.
Good job.
But the last point, how much does networking hinder diversity? I'm coming from a company where I employed lots of people that I knew from students, so I'm not, it's really, you know, I do the same of we've got really good people because I knew them, but there is a downside to that, which is if you're not going out and coming in late in the morning, then that's an issue.
If you look at for the pandemic and the InfoSec happy hour, there's a pretty good spread. Yes, there's a lot of like white males, but then there's a lot of white males in InfoSec, and that's slowly but surely changing. I don't hire somebody because of like the sex, or I literally don't care. It's can you do the job, and are you a good human being? And so yeah, for me, it depends on what your networking circles are like. So if your networking circles are only white males, then yes, your networking will only involve like white males, and shame on you because there are plenty more different types of people out there in the world. So expand your circle and go and find people that don't look like you, for example. So it's a problem. It's something that the industry, does it do enough to address it? In certain places, yes, but it's a slow movement. Always is. But change is not necessarily easy on a society level. I have at least 3 or 4 SOC analysts in a team of 8. So I do my best, but I don't hire people because of their sex or because of anything. It's literally, are you a good human being? And good human beings will network with each other. So, yes, it is a problem, but it's a problem of our own making and our own, only we can solve it.
I'm exactly the same boat of, I'm not criticising of coming across as a bad point, I do exactly the same, and it's hard.
Thank you.
Now you come in?
Welcome, Mark. Morning. Oh, no.
Oh, no, Scott, you've got to, what's your question?
No, you're banned. Right, what's your question?
Well, Mark's just missed number 3, so you're going to have to do it again.
No, I'm banning you from that.
Dude, honestly, it's like...
Why do you think I held on to these? Does anybody else have any questions for Dave? Oh, one down the front.
Certificates and qualifications side of things. We recently, well, not recently, but in the last couple of years, hired a load of graduates, and most of them, in fact, all of them had degrees, but they were, like you said, like zoology and history and geography and whatever like that there. So when it actually came to asking them if anyone had any scripting skills to do some work, not one of them had, because none of them had an IT degree. So what's the balance that kind of you have if you're hiring kind of people on there? What percentage are you looking for with IT degrees?
Depends on the job and the role that you're hiring for. Like if you're hiring for like a senior security engineer to go and deliver like Azure stuff, then you need to hire somebody that isn't a graduate that has those skills, sort of thing. For the people starting, the kind of graduates or people that just are breaking into InfoSec, it's not the fact that they're graduates, the fact that they just want to get their first job in cyber, and they'll come and be a SOC analyst or a junior kind of consultant sort of thing. It's about the can you learn, and do you have the hunger, do you have the curiosity? I can teach skills. I can teach anybody to be a SOC analyst as long as you're curious. As long as you have the aptitude to sit and go in there. Yes, there are times where you're saying, hey, if you turn around and say, hey, I can do all this like scripting, you're like, brilliant, because that has a particular mindset and an understanding that I know that I can immediately work with. But again, fantastic SOC analyst that we hired moved from a completely different industry, could barely find the any key on a keyboard, but during the pandemic decided to go and try something else. And with a lot of help and kind of coaching around getting some of the basic technical stuff up to build, the mindset he had of being in an investigative role before means he's an absolute fantastic SOC analyst, because he knows where when he hits a question, if it's a technical thing, he can go and find that answer. He can find someone that knows it already and he can go and learn it. But the actual drive to investigate and to do good and to get to the bottom of things, and to not necessarily take the first answer that appears in Google, that sort of stuff, that's the bit that's really hard to get. And it doesn't matter what degree you've got at that point. If you have the right mindset for the role, then that's what you're after. It's not a brilliant mindset for a salesperson, is it? You know, they don't really need to be able to get to the bottom of a problem. They want to be slightly mercenary if they want to be, you know, that commercial sort of sales thing. But ultimately, when I'm looking for a SOC analyst or something like a pen tester, something like that, I'm looking for people that solve problems. And problem solving is the one reason I'm going to. That's what I'm looking for. So the degree, whether they come in, whether they have a degree or not, doesn't really matter. Yes, you see a lot of graduates sort of thing, and we have, like, in Edinburgh, we're completely spoiled for choice, because you've got like Napier, you've got the one at Glasgow, Abertay, they're all doing really good programs and stuff. So really big universities with really good degree courses, all within an hour of us, is awesome, because you actually get this like massive flux of people. But I don't just take people from there. I will go and like think, I don't care where they come from. It's about, are you a good person, and can you investigate? Do you have that drive? If you've got that, I can teach you the techie stuff.
Not that I've got anything against sort of like graduates, but we tend to get them in like wholesale, as it were, like let's hire 15 people and then see what we can actually fit them into.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it's not uncommon, and there's like graduate programs and stuff like that where you are deliberately taking in a mass thing and you shove them around different bits of the business and see where they stick. And that works, especially when you get to a company of a certain size and stuff, and you can afford to do that, and you go, well, I know I'm going to have grunts to do sweeping of the floor and stuff like that. Well, we figure out exactly what hole they fit in. If I'm looking to fill specific roles and graduates are coming in, then yeah, it's the I mean, if you're going to come to me as a SOC analyst and say, right, okay, tell me, like, you can't interview them saying, give me a good, like, in one of your jobs, tell me how you dealt with like a high pressure situation. So you're at uni, you don't know what a high pressure situation is. You're literally going that, oh God, I've got to hand it in tomorrow, is the biggest bit of pressure that most graduates do. So you're sitting there going, right, but okay, so you then have to sit and you change your entire tack about how you interview them. You're sitting, right, okay, right, tell me about you as a person. Tell me what you thought of uni. What did you think? What's your favourite dinosaur? But ultimately, you sit there and go, okay, and then somebody says, so one analyst I hired, I said, all right, okay, it says here you've done a talk. And I went, yeah, I've done a talk. Is that right? Okay. See, when you're doing a talk, you're terrified you're going to get asked a really horrible question at the end, because that's like the fear that you have when you're doing your first talk, especially if you're doing a technical content to peers and stuff like that. You're like, right, okay, somebody's going to ask me, some twat in the back's going to ask me something I don't know the answer to. And they're then just going to poke at me. And you're saying, and that's your fear when you're doing your first talks. As you go on, you realise that you don't know everything, and you just go, hey, that's a really good idea, let's go talk that offline, and then you can deal with it like that. But you don't know that when you're doing your first ones. And so I said, all right, okay, like, tell me a time when you did this. He says, oh yeah, I did, I got one of these terrible questions. Like, brilliant, here we go. He's going to tell me how he dealt with something under pressure. And he completely fell to pieces. Absolutely terrible interview. absolutely fell to pieces because he got really stuck on that. I was like, oh yeah, the question was, and for like 10, 15 minutes, he was trying to remember what the actual question was. I don't care what the question was. I don't care what your talk was about. I'm just trying to find out how you dealt with pressure. And I looked at him and went, you know what? You actually dealt with that, but you can't do interviews, and I can actually help him with interviews. Yeah. Interviews are, are stressful, but they're a different sort of stress. But actually, you look at the rest of it, you go, the rest of the interview is absolutely fine. But he came out of that thinking he had a terrible interview, and the person that kind of brought him to me said, "I'm really sorry, that went really badly." I was like, "Didn't go badly at all. He feels terrible, but I'm now going to phone him and go, hey, you got the job." So because you're a good human being, you've got the ability to do stuff. And you know what? If you can't handle kind of a pressure situation, well, let's go fix that, because we can teach you how to do that. Thanks for the question.
Does anyone have any other questions for Dave? No. No hands? No? No. It's really, really interesting because we had the kind of talk yesterday about what was it? What was the word you used? They said the InfoSec hiring is fucked. I think it's pretty fair to say that you hire good people, you get the skills later. We seem to be 10 years ago. We seem to be focused purely on the skills, purely on how many degrees you got, how many pieces of paper, how many CREST certifications have you got. Are you CEH certified?
Yeah.
But more people need to be like that. More people need to be looking at the good people rather than the good paper, I feel.
Yep.
Agree?
Definitely. And it's getting better. Startups are easier because you don't walk in with a massive entrenched, this is how the way it's always been done, so there's not barriers to that, and there's a lot more chaos and fluidity and stuff like that. But trying to make sure that you keep that in a culture in a company is quite hard. He says, knowing from the experience, but ultimately, yeah, you're hiring people. You're not hiring numbers. You're not you are trying to fill a role, but you're hiring people. Is that person going to be a good fit with my team? Can I help that person? If you come in completely arrogant and stuff like that, I'll probably not like you. It rubs me the wrong way, sort of thing. So anyone that happens to interview me in future, But similarly, feel free to be proud of what you do. Be proud. I mean, don't be arrogant. Be proud, and that ticks all the boxes.
Yeah. No. Absolutely right. Amy said it yesterday. You've said it again today, and not in less words, but TLDR. You're also interviewing the company as much as they're interviewing you. You need to remember that.
Yeah.
If you go along and you think, Christ, it's not me, it's them. They're arrogant. Then you can walk away. It's a two-way street. It's not a single-track road, and you're not stuck there for life. A lot of students come out of university and think, oh my God, I have to get this job at this one particular company, or No, go where you want. Do what you want. Go self-employed. You're fine. Does anyone else have any further questions for Dave? Awesome. Well,
thanks very much, everybody.
thank you very much. Big warm round of applause, please.